Welcome back to episode 2 of TE Walks Live with Thomas and Mario talking about the Jewish Quarter. Today, Thomas is going to tell us about the Theatre of Marcellus and debate with Mario about the values of using the ancient historian Suetonius as a historical resource since he's known as a great gossip monger.
So the theater?
Yeah, there's a theater started by Julius Caesar, right? Then he gets himself assassinated. The guy we know as Caesar Augustus finishes it up. It ends up being named after his nephew, whom he was associating with as his successor. For a lot of reasons, his wife didn't like that. So the people that Augustus kept associating with himself for to serve as his successor, they kept dying mysteriously of strange summer fevers, or according to Suetonius anyway, Augustus's wife Olivia's special poisoner.
Don't eat the figs.
Possible. I like Suetonius. We've had this conversation several times, haven't we? Mario has an issue with Suetonius as a source. Well, a lot of historians have Suetonius as an issue with.
I don't. I love him.
As a source. Are his stories always the most accurate? I don't know, but they are typically the sauciest. They're so full of good scuttlebutt, but scuttlebutt of the day.
Great stories to tell, but what does scuttlebutt
I
mean?
don't want scuttlebutt, I want
exactly,
history.
Thomas.
Yeah. As a historian, I'm very interested in the scuttlebutt as well. It's historical scuttlebutt.
Apparently, scuttlebutt means gossip. I've just learned that today.
Suetonius would get away with a lot of things. He didn't want to get in too much trouble with the authorities, so he would tell the proper version of things and say, but, as the more malicious tongues would have it, wagging as they do, and then of course this is the way he's able to put in a lot of the more raunchy stories. So it makes it pretty fun reading anyway.
Listen, they were talking about the Theatre of Marcellus, and we're saying the Jewish ghetto as well. When is it that we finally enter the Jewish ghetto proper? Because when we look here, we can already see the synagogue coming up,
Yep,
right?
that's
In
right.
the background, yep.
But culture of the ghetto extends a little further out than it did, but it was very clearly demarcated, walled in fact, right in the middle of the 1550s. For the principal reason, the Pope at the time, we're right in the middle of the wars of religion, with Europe ripping itself apart in the name of Jesus. Pope decides it must be the Jews' fault, and unfortunately, for far, far too long, and not just in this town, as long as there were Jews around, there were people ready handy to blame stuff on. This was no exception. And so the Pope takes them and walls them in to one of the nastiest, most flood-prone, rat-overridden, mosquito-infested neighborhood right on the banks of the river. Now, though, it's one of the coolest neighborhoods in the city.
Exactly.
I mean, it's funny, though, that how all these churches were built right at the border, right?
Yeah.
Right around.
Yeah, it's not an accident either.
Not an accident either.
Interesting point. Guys.
Even though this little the facade of the church has been moved, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, the old church of Santa Rita, which used to be right up on the flanks of the Capitoline, but then in the 17th century, the Barberini's brother, has it ripped down to make some urbanizing open space there, move the whole church.
That's a fascinating thing, which I never knew. I thought Mussolini had done it when he did his Via del Mare street.
I like this church quite a lot too. This is great Baroque church. One of the principal things that's called into question during that period is the role of the priesthood. To what extent is the priesthood necessary to help connect people to God? Well, since you can only get the Eucharist from an ordained priest, that makes the priesthood pretty necessary in making that connection. And the role of the Eucharist is enhanced even more than it was in that church in there. It's built almost like a landing strip, with a forced perspective, the columns and the pilasters getting closer and closer inside, and all the way at the end you get the altar and this great big explosion of gold with the Eucharist displayed. Like, here's you come and get it, and it's only in a place like this that you can. Fairly clear statements about such
Beautiful
things.
church
And
of
that's
Santa
what
Maria in
Baroque architecture
Campitelli.
is. It's clear statement.
It is, and this is a great Baroque facade.
So are we allowed to go in?
Why not? Doors are open. I say
I
let's
don't
go.
know. There's police sitting there. I'm not sure whether that is because.
I've always had I've been living my life since I was about 15 with the idea that I'd rather say I'm sorry afterwards than ask permission up ahead.
Better to ask for forgiveness than permission. You're exactly right, Thomas.
You promised that explosion of Baroque.
Sure is. Can't wait to get inside.
Got organ practice as well.
Ah, we can hear some music.
I'm going to have a mask on, so I'm going to fix my mask. Thomas will be walking in.
And as you can hear the music starting and we're about to enter in the church, this concludes episode 2 of TE Walk Live with Mario and Thomas. Join us for episode 3 of Going Through the Jewish Quarter. Thomas and Mario get to hear live music in this beautiful Baroque church of Santa Maria in Campitelli. Then we will get to the heart of the Jewish ghetto and into one of the most beautiful fountains of Rome. Please join us.